What can you see right now?
I can see Omar Sharif.
I think you should do it, bro. Yeah. Go for it, bro.
Alright. MJ, we serve all day.
Every day.
We can't let her sit there. Just that one seat we can't have.
MJ,
She can move one seat. We can't move that.
go Jersey, go Jersey, go. 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 Alright, give it up for everybody here. I love the energy, I love the enthusiasm.
Go Bombers, go Bombers, go.
Alright, if everybody can get seated and get situated, we're going to begin in a few short minutes. Very short minutes. Like, very few.
And OBLE Leadership Academy. Is that a live stream?
Alright, we're going to get started. Before I start, does this sound better and more clear? Or does this sound better and more clear? This one? I can't tell because I'm up here. Alright. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is a pleasure to have all of you guys here at our awards ceremony tonight. If I haven't introduced myself to you, if you've never seen me before and you have no idea who I am, my name is Adnan O'Day. I am your associate director, or one of your associate directors rather, for Miss NJ 2020 this year, alhamdulillah. I want to just quickly thank you all for being very cooperative, very patient with how everything's been running today and yesterday. I want to thank you all for all the enthusiasm you guys have been bringing out to all the chants, the competitions, your attentiveness during the programs. It's all very appreciated. We love putting on this tournament just as much as you guys love coming to enjoy it. So we really appreciate every single moment spent with you guys here tonight. So with that being said, we're gonna start this wonderful gathering with some recitation of the Quran with our first place. I'm sorry, what level? All right, I don't know the level. I always mess this up. But we're going to start with some Quran recitation from our first place winner, Ibrahim Sayyid.
You definitely listen to Quran. How old is he? Yo, how old is he? He's a freshman. A freshman? You probably skipped like 4th grade.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فما أوتيتم من شيء فمتاع الحياة الدنيا وما عند الله خير وأبقى للذين آمنوا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون والذين يجتنبون كبائر الإثم والفواحش وإذا ما غضبوا هم يغفرون والذين استجابوا لربهم رزقناهم ينفقون والذين إذا أصابهم البغي هم ينتصرون وجزاء سيئة سيئة مثلها فمن عفا وأصلح فأجره على الله إنه لا يحب الظالمين ولمن انتصر بعد ظلمه فأولئك ما عليهم من سبيل إنما السبيل على الذين يظلمون الناس ويبغون في الأرض بغير الحق أولئك لهم عذاب أليم ولمن صبر وغفر إن ذلك لمن عزم الأمور ومن يضلل الله فما له من ولي من بعده وترى الظالمين لما رأوا العذاب يقولون هل إلى مرد من سبيل وتراهم يعرضون عليها خاشعين من الظل ينظرون من طرف خفي وقال الذين آمنوا إن الخاسرين الذين خسروا أنفسهم وأهليهم يوم القيامة ألا إن الظالمين في عذاب مقيم وما كان لهم من أولياء ينصرونهم من دون الله ومن يضلل الله فما له من سبيل استجيبوا لربكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا مرد له من الله ما لكم من ملجأ يومئذ وما لكم من نكير فإن أعرضوا فما أرسلناك عليهم حفيظا إن عليك إلا البلاغ وإنا إذا أذقنا الإنسان منا رحمة فرح بها وإن تصبهم سيئة بما قدمت أيديهم فإن الإنسان كفور صدق الله العظيم.
Takbir. 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 And now we'll have the translation read aloud by the sisters winner, Juwaria Akbar.
Whatever ye are given here, but a convenience of this life, but that which is with Allah is better and more lasting. It is for those who believe and put their trust in their Lord, those who avoid the greater crimes and shameful deeds, and when they are angry, even then forgive. Those who hearken to their Lord and establish regular prayer, who conduct their affairs by mutual consultation, who spend out of what we bestow on them for sustenance. And those who, when an oppressive wrong is inflicted on them, are not proud, but help and defend themselves. The recompense for an injury is an injury equal thereto in degree, but if a person forgives and makes reconciliation, his reward is due from Allah, for Allah loveth not those who do But indeed, if any do help and defend himself after a wrong done to them, against such there is no cause of blame. The blame is only against those who oppress men with wrongdoing and insolently transgress beyond bounds through the land, defying right and justice. For such there will be a penalty grievous. But indeed, if any show patience and forgive, that will truly be an exercise of courageous will, resolution, and the conduct of affairs. For any whom Allah leaves astray, there is no protector thereafter, and thou wilt see the wrongdoers. When in sight of the penalty say, is there any way to effect a return? And thou wilt see them brought forward to the penalty in a humble frame of mind, because of their grace, and looking with a stealthy glance. And the believers will say, those are indeed in loss who have given the petition their own selves, and those belonging to them. On the day of judgment, behold, truly the wrongdoers are in a lasting penalty. And no protectors have they to help them other than Allah. And for any whom Allah leaves to stray, there is no way to the goal. Hearken ye to your Lord before there come a day which there will be no putting back, because of the ordainment of Allah. That day there will be for you no place of refuge, nor will there be for you any room for denial of your sins. If then they turn away, we have not sent thee a guard over them. Thy duty is but to convey the message, and truly when we give a man a taste of mercy from ourselves, he doth exult thereat. But when some ill happens to him, on account of the deeds which his hands have set forth, truly then is the man ungrateful.
Jazakallah khairan to both for their wonderful recitation. Moving on, I'd like to welcome all of you one more time to our award ceremony for Miss NJ 2022. Alhamdulillah, this year I had the pleasure of being, this year's y'all's associate director for the region, or one of y'all's associate directors for the region. Being an associate director was a very different role for me because as most of the juniors and seniors here remember me, and maybe some of the volunteers or even some of the coaches might remember me, I'm usually the hype man. I usually am the guy holding the microphone that doesn't shut up, that's walking around all day, getting you guys to chant, making you guys exhausted, bringing you to the awards ceremony, and then making you guys chant 10 times even more. But this year, I wasn't in as many spirit sessions as I was in the past. Neither was I in as many programs as I was in the past. But I'm not saying this to you guys to complain. I'm saying this because this year, I felt that I had the greatest honor and privilege to be one of the admin people putting together a type of tournament to see such an amazing community all come together. MIST holds a very special place in my heart. The organizers on my team have heard me say this a million times, and they'll probably roll their eyes when I say it again. But I've been doing MIST for 9 years now. My first ever MIST tournament was 9 years ago, and it wasn't even at Miss New Jersey. It was in Miss Philadelphia. Miss New Jersey wasn't even a thing yet. And somehow, some way, our small little group of students from NUI actually. We took a couple of us and we headed over to Miss Philly. And when we say we had the most unforgettable experience just learning about what MIST was and seeing the Muslim community of Philly come together and pull an event like this off, we knew we were immediately going to be back the next year. And when we came back the following year, we were thinking, you know, this would be kind of cool to have not 60 miles away from the house, right? So maybe we should start our own region. And I wasn't yet in college at the time, I was still a junior. I started competing in freshman year, right? So by the time junior year came around, the juniors and seniors who had graduated from NUI, along with some other friends who had done MIST in Philly and in the surrounding areas, they got together. And they said, you know what? we're gonna create our own region in New Jersey because we know that there's an amazing Muslim community out here. We know we're packed with people. We're the most densely populated state in the nation. We gotta have our own in this region. We gotta pop out. We gotta be our own region at nationals, right? So one of the reasons I have been involving myself with this organization every year now for the past 9 years is because of the sense of community that it brings to everybody. Let's face it, every morning we get up and 9 times out of 10, we're leaving our house early in the morning, every day. And when you start to put it in perspective, it's kind of weird. Like, you kind of save for a house, one of the greatest things you own in your life, right, a home. And we're not there a lot most of the time. But when we're outside of our houses, we surround ourselves with other people. And those other people make up our community. Whether we acknowledge it, like it, know it or not, the people around you when you step outside your house are your community. And what Miss showed me was that my community didn't always have to feel so, not as familiar as I thought it always had felt. When you come to Miss, whether you're from North Jersey, South Jersey, or the highly disputed Central Jersey, we're all family. We all come to this tournament together with some sort of common sense of sportsmanship. That's why it's a beautiful thing when we encourage and we see you guys reciprocate chanting for other schools and chanting for other teams. Because at the end of the day, when we all pull up here together, we just have a common goal. Not to necessarily win first place here or win first place there, but to really just to get to know one another and to get to know our community as a whole so that we can build greater things. And that brings me to my next point, which whether or not you were here for a certain intention or not, right? We all try to do things for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whether or not you came here for His sake, whether or not you plan to be here for this reason or that reason, at the end of the day, He planned for you to be here. And we know He's the best of planners. So what you gotta do is take this experience and reflect on it. For whatever reason you were here for. Understand why you were here today. Understand what you did here today. And understand that the journey does not end here, especially if you're a junior or a senior. Because I know to them, it's pretty upsetting having come into high school freshman or sophomore year and lose out on basically a whole year of competing in Miss and connecting with everybody and 2 years of nationals over the pandemic. That can seem like you missed out and you lost on a lot. But let me be the first to tell you this. I wasn't in high school for 9 years. I was only in high school for 4. Could have been 5, but it was 4, I promise. And I organized more years than I competed. So if you're a junior and senior and you're upset, or especially if you're a senior and you're upset that this might be your last ever award ceremony, I might have thought that too at one point, but here I am at my, who knows how many awards, because I go to nationals too, so we're talking like 12 award ceremonies at this point. Yes, I'm bragging again, I'm sorry. At the end of the day, you guys aren't done. And I encourage every single one of you to go back. If you had a small team this year, if you felt like your team wasn't as enthusiastic as you would have liked, go back and just reconnect with the people you met this weekend. Especially with the ones that you weren't too familiar with from your own schools. Because they're your community. They're the people that you see every day when you walk outside your homes. Reconnect with them, begin reconnecting with areas around you, and inshallah, I promise you that this is not the end of your Miss journey if you don't want it to be. This organization is what you make of it, and I pray for each and every single one of you's success, whether it is with this organization or not. Jazakallah khairan. That being said, I'd like to call up our wonderful programs chair, Hafsa Abid, to introduce our keynote.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name Hafsa, and I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for an amazing weekend and for attending and engaging with our workshops. We really hope you enjoyed them and were able to find something of benefit to take away. Also, I just wanted to add that this weekend's workshop wouldn't have been possible without my wonderful coordinators, Maria and Manor, who helped organize and plan for the So if you see them before you leave, tell them how much you love the workshops. But now for the reason you're here, to listen to our inspiring keynote for the evening, Bilqis Abdul-Qadir. Bilqis is a young Muslim woman from Springfield, Massachusetts, and is the founder of Muslim Girls Hoop 2. She has loved the sport of basketball ever since she was a young girl. While just a freshman in high school, she became one of the only 3 players in Massachusetts history to score over 1,000 points her first year playing. Bilqis then attended and continued to play at Memphis University and graduated with a master's in coaching. She played point guard for 4 years at Memphis, and as a freshman was awarded the USCWA Most Courageous Award at the NCAA Women's Final Four for being recognized as the first Muslim woman to play in hijab. As she looked to continue playing professionally in Europe, she was informed of the rule from the International Basketball Federation that prohibits headgear larger than 5 inches. Unwilling to stray in her beliefs, Bilqis stood up to the international rules, petitioning for an exemption to rule. She put her dreams of playing professionally aside as she works to now pave a way for other Muslim women in sports. She founded a campaign called Muslim Girls Hoop 2 to raise awareness for the Muslim women in sports with an emphasis on female basketball players. So now please give a warm welcome to Bilqis Abdul-Qadir.
Because it's really just a feeling that I feel. Everything that I have is just 2 years ago. And in a way, you're still kind of telling the same story. If that opportunity opened up, I would play. But I'm still gonna battle in that battle.
It was a historic night in Springfield.
Senior Bilqis Abdul-Qadir blew Rebecca Lobo's scoring record out of the water.
I mean, anything is possible. Never give up, practice, your dreams come true, basically. I literally graduated, went home, gathered all my bags, and went to the airport. So that's how fast things were going.
Where's Bilqis? Right here, stand up, Bilqis, just so I want everybody to know. She's got heels on, she's 5'5". She's an athlete on her way to Memphis. Bilqis is an inspiration not simply to Muslim girls, she's an inspiration to all of us.
Bilqis Abdul-Qadir has been invited to the Pro-Am Combines. These events give the top college seniors in the country a chance to be evaluated by foreign coaches.
I wasn't ready for what was about to happen, you know? Like, I was just trying to play.
For the first time in her playing career, Bilqis Abdul-Qadir has hit a roadblock. Basketball's governing body, FIBA, has ruled that bans players from wearing equipment that may cause injury to others, including headwear, hair accessories, and jewelry.
In the wake of terrorist attacks in Paris and San Bernardino, for these historic figures, just as for the 5 million plus Muslims in the United States, this is an especially visible month of their faith and for events of equity across American society, making this question a complex one to answer. What is it like to be a Muslim athlete in the United States today?
It's hard being a young Muslim woman in America. It takes strength to walk outside and look different than everybody else.
I pray that it gets better, but I think, there's so many mindsets that would have to be changed.
People kind of look at you different when they see Muslim women. They have this stereotype that they're quiet, that they're submissive, that they're not supposed to do these certain things. Everybody thinks, yeah, it's just a sport. But when I play basketball, I worry about nothing. It takes me out of real life. I was gonna finish school, I was gonna play basketball, I was gonna do all this stuff, and now it's just like a huge question mark. Right now, I don't know who I am. Am I anybody without basketball? Am I still myself?
Can you? Extra video, no problem. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wait, no, because I know you guys been chanting all day. Hold on. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah. First, I would like to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us all to gather here tonight. I know you all may have been here for the entire weekend, Saturday and Sunday. I just want to thank him for good health, good spirits, good iman, and congratulations to any winners. MashaAllah, I used to actually join Miss Tennessee. I lived in Memphis, and we returned. It was amazing. I never got to experience a Miss as a student. I don't even think it existed. I'm not that old. However, just to be a coach and to be a part of it, mashallah, it was an amazing experience as a young adult. So what you just watched actually is a documentary, a trailer to a documentary called Life Without Basketball. It's a full-length, 86-minute version of this movie. If you ever have time and you're looking for something to watch, it's on everything but Netflix. Right? Inshallah, it gets there soon, but Hulu, Amazon, Prime, all that good stuff. If you have time, I would love for you all to watch it and experience my life without basketball. Before I begin, I saw some yawns and some stuff. People are tired, long day, but I need your attention. All right. So when I say eyes, you're gonna clap twice. You got it? When I say ears, you're gonna stomp twice. Wait, hold on, guys. Eyes, ears, ears, eyes, eyes, ears, eyes, ears. Mashallah, this is amazing. Round of applause for yourself. That was good. So thank you, Sister Hafsa, for an amazing introduction. Hold on. That was exciting, right? So I'm going to kind of start from the beginning of my life, all right? Sister Hafsa gave me a great introduction, and I'm just going to rewind a little bit because nobody ever listens to the introduction. It's okay, I've learned that along the way of my speaking career. I was born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts. Anybody know why that's an important place? Anybody? Somebody. Because I was born there, yeah, true.
Hall of Fame.
Who said it? Basketball Hall of Fame. Also, the birthplace of basketball. Basketball was invented. So I grew up around basketball. My city was basketball. I'm the youngest of 8. I have 4 sisters, 3 brothers, mashallah. My parents both converted to Islam or reverted to Islam, whatever makes you feel comfortable. They homeschooled all of us, mashallah, literally homeschooled us. I mean, my mother was hardcore. She played no games. I love her now for it, but back then I was like, Umi, no. I want to sit down all day. However, growing up in an inner city like Springfield, Massachusetts, where the majority of the population are the minority, meaning Black and Hispanic, we really aren't given the opportunities or presented opportunities as, I'm going to be frank, as our white counterparts. So the schools were low income. We had no books. We had bad teachers. The turnover rate for teachers was pretty bad. The buildings were run down. Don't drink the water from the fountains. You gotta be mindful of that. So that was one of the reasons why my parents decided to keep us home. But what we were offered as young black kids or Hispanic kids were, you're good at sports, right? Can you rap? That's what we were given. We weren't given, are you good at school? You can apply for scholarships, or this is an opportunity, or this is the pathway to success. So for me and my family, basketball was a way for us to hopefully pursue a higher education. I started playing basketball when I was 4 years old. Everybody, I'm sure, in this room has had the basketball hoop where you can put it up and down, the plastic one with the rubber ball, right? That was my first hoop. My parents put it in my dining room and it changed my life. Again, all of my siblings played with the exception of my older sister. She didn't want to break a nail. So she was like, I'm just gonna keep the score. Okay, that's fine. So the dining room was the basketball court. My brothers were older than me. I'm the youngest, of course. They would get on their knees and they would be the same height as me. And every time I shot a shot, they blocked it across the room. Every time I tried to dribble, they stole the ball. I was getting bullied. But at that moment, I hated it, but I realized it actually helped me become a really, really good basketball player. So it started in the dining room. And then around age 12, 13, is when basketball became more than just a hobby. So my parents come up to me and my brother one day, and they say, look, this is the reality, we can't afford college. You're gonna have to figure out a way to get a scholarship. And so of course, we're like, well, we're pretty good at basketball. I know that I could get a full scholarship to a Division I school or Division II school. This is gonna be what my goal is. I didn't want to see my parents financially struggle anymore. I'm the youngest of 8. They were paying for tuition for all of my other siblings. And I'm like, how can I lift this weight off their shoulders? So from that day forward, in my homeschool day, whatever break I had, I was outside between legs, behind the back, crossover, crossover. I would sleep when I would lay in my bed at night, I had my ball and working on my follow through to make sure that it hit my fingertips the same way, precisely, every time. I was grinding to be the best player that I could be in my city. At the age of 12, 13, who's really worried about how they're gonna pay for college? Alhamdulillah, this is the test that Allah gave my family, right? So 8th grade year rolls around, and my parents finally, after me begging for some years, decide to send me to school. Again, they were protecting me from a lot at the time. So I go to a charter school. Anybody know what a charter school is? Okay, well, charter schools in Springfield weren't the best of schools still. And what my parents didn't know, that they were sending me to basically, for lack of better terms, a reject school. Meaning, all the students in the school were kicked out of the public schools and placed here because their behavior was terrible. I actually went to a zoo. My parents had no idea. My first day of school, I'm gonna tell you, I'm an 8th grader. I blend in, I'm not wearing hijab yet. I physically don't look Muslim. I knew I was different. My first day of school, I'm excited to catch the bus. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get on the yellow school bus. I got a bus stop. Get on this bus. I sit in somebody's seat. And that was, I was like, wait, there's assigned seats on it. This high school girl, because I went to, the charter school was 6th to 12th grade. She came up to my seat and said, get out. I was like, huh? You can't sit next to me. I was done. I was like, you know what? I'm not going back the next day. I was so afraid. It was insane. So anyway, although I blended in, I looked like everyone else as an 8th grader. I was one of 2 Muslims. The other Muslim was actually part of the Nation of Islam. So beliefs were totally different. We couldn't relate. She was a lot younger than I was as well. I knew I was different. But what helped me fit in my 8th grade year was basketball. So I knew I was going to try out for the high school team. And in my school, as an 8th grader, you could try out for the high school team. I made varsity. Disclaimer, the girls never played basketball ever in their life. So I was probably the one with the most experience on the basketball court. But I made the team, alhamdulillah, it was amazing. So I'm still kind of shaky on, am I good enough? This was exciting. But what gave me that ounce of confidence, I'm gonna share this story really quickly. When my parents finally decided to let me kind of navigate our neighborhood, there was a new basketball court. This basketball court was right down the street from my school, from my house. And raise your hand if you ever played street ball. Okay, some of the girls, mashallah, nice, a lot of the boys. So how street ball works is when you step up to the court, you have to call next. Next means you better have your 4 players or a 5-player team ready to play. And if you don't have your team ready to play, then you're not gonna play next. So I walk up to the court, I'm the only girl. There's no other girls on the court. And the boys are already looking at me funny. What is she doing here? And so I'm like, all right, you wanna play with me? All the boys start lying. No, I already have a team. I'm like, you could, how do you have a team? There's no way you have a team. So who do I have to get to join my team? Soccer players. Or some boys that just watch the games all day because they're not good enough to play on the court either. So I'm like, guys, you want to join? And they're like, what? Yeah, sure. I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. So we get on the court, I check ball. I'm telling you, this other team wasn't ready. I get the ball, boom, boom, dribble through, layup. They're like, the girl can play, the girl can play. They are mad. Then the next time down the court, guess what? Nobody wants to guard me. No, you guard her. Come on, dude, you guard her, bro. I'm not guarding her. That's when I knew, I said, okay, I have a chance. This was the confidence boost I needed. These guys didn't want a chance with me. The next time I go to the court, guess what? You want to play on my team? I'm like, no, I'm going to stick with my guys who held me down the first day. So alhamdulillah, that was the confidence I needed, stepping into my 8th grade year, and then stepping on to a varsity team. 8th grade year, my first game, I scored, mashallah, over 40 points. The city went wild. They were like, who is this girl? She came from homeschool. We never seen her before. She has the long name that nobody can pronounce. This is amazing. And I made a name for myself as an 8th grader. Of course, my goal was to get what? A full scholarship. So after that game, of the 40-point game, I'm in the newspaper, I'm in the news, I'm a little famous. I'm like, this is what I need to get this scholarship. This is amazing. So every game after that, what am I doing? Scoring as many points as I can, trying to win as many games as I could so I could get this scholarship, or I could get well known in my city, and the word could travel about who Bilquis was as a basketball player. Great, alhamdulillah, 8th grade was great. 9th grade rolls around, and guess what? Somebody guess.
Injured.
No. There you go, girl, she's following. I start wearing hijab. So in my household, again, my parents converted to Islam. As a Black American, we don't really have any cultural baggage. Meaning the way my parents learned Islam was strictly Quran and Sunnah. So in my household, the belief was when a woman reaches the age of puberty, or a young woman reaches the age of puberty, she is to start wearing hijab, whether you're ready or not. Now, I wasn't forced, but I just knew that this was the belief. I knew that my aunts wore it, my mother wore it, my sisters wore it, all the women around me wore it, and I didn't want to disappoint them. In the beginning, I wasn't doing it for Allah's sake. However, I knew that this was the belief in my household, and this is what I ultimately believed as a Muslim. So the day that it happened, long story short, I left school, and I didn't go back for 2 weeks. My mother woke me up. She says it wasn't 2 weeks, but I'm pretty sure it was. She would wake me up every morning. Kisi, it's my nickname. Are you ready to go to school? Come on, you gotta, I'm like, homeschool me again. I'm not going back. And we all know this transition from being non-hijabi to hijabi is intense. Brothers, you don't know. But I'm telling you, it's life-changing, all right? It's huge, especially as I was a freshman. At that point, I'm starting to kind of feel pretty. I'm starting to look like somebody, I thought. And Allah was like, no, sis, slow down. It's hijab time, right? So I finally go back to school. And guess what saves me from not feeling like I was going to fit in? Basketball. Season was right around the corner. I love basketball. And when you're passionate about something, nothing else matters. And I said that in the video. So although I was in school the first day with my hijab, I had a hood on, I wore a uniform. So the teachers are like, take your hood off, Kisi. Like, you know I'm wearing this hood today. Let me adjust. It was scary. I put more pressure on myself than I needed. Alhamdulillah, nobody made any jokes. But still, basketball was there to save me. It was that crutch again that helped me kind of blend in and make it through, my struggles. The only worry I had was there was no sport hijabs, there was no dry fit material at the time. We had nothing. So I had a full sweatsuit on, and I tied my hijab up in a turban style, as we call it today, right? So my first game as a hijabi was weird. I step on the court, I forget that I look different. So I'm warming up, people are in the stands, this was an away game. Everybody's kind of staring like, what's that girl wearing? So as I'm warming up in this small gym, I see everybody staring, some people laughing, pointing, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot I have a sweatsuit on. My jersey, my hair, and I remembered, I'm like, man, this is gonna be interesting. So I felt pressure from all the stares and the glares, the laughs. My teammates are like, Kisi, don't worry about it, just keep playing. Let's get ready for the game. SubhanAllah. As soon as I scored my first point, crossed somebody over, made a shot, those same people in the stands did the same thing those boys did at that park. The girl with the clothes can move, she can play, she can score, she can dribble. It was a phenomenon. These people had no idea, number one, why I was even covered. Number two, that a Muslim woman could actually jump and run. That's what it is, right? But the same people that, again, were amazed would wait after the game, come up to me and say, excuse me, I just want to ask, well, first, you're a great player, but why do you have to wear those clothes? So I'm like, they don't even know what a Muslim is. This is crazy. Like, it was just ignorance. They didn't know. So the laughs and the stares and the glares, I had to kind of push it under the rug and understand that, man, Allah just blessed me because I'm able to fulfill one of my duties as a Muslim, give dawah, by being good at basketball. And wearing hijab. It was crazy. So fast forward through high school, it was great. I broke records, alhamdulillah, the record for points. She mentions I scored 3,000 points. It still stands today out of boys and girls. Nobody's broken the record yet. I don't mind if somebody breaks it. I hope it's a girl, inshallah. But it still stands, and I'm proud of it. Alhamdulillah, I'm proud of it. But having that recognition and standing out as a hijabi hooper that had some talent helped me get the scholarship. So at the end of my senior high school season, I had multiple Division I offers, meaning full scholarship is you don't pay a dime, you don't pay a penny for anything. Room and board is paid for, books, tuition, subhanAllah, everything. And I made my parents proud, and that was what my first goal in life was. So alhamdulillah, I was able to do that. I get to college. I'm the first hijabi to ever play Division I basketball, so that's even more. Y'all, come on. It's a lot. No, I appreciate the love, honestly. But with that came a lot of pressure. I was the first. So I had to be on my toes all the time. If I was feeling down or my man was low, I couldn't show it because the media knew who I was. I'm telling you, if I was to ever about taking my hijab off or do something crazy, one click of a camera on campus would have ruined my entire life. So it was heavy. It was really heavy. But alhamdulillah, Allah did give me the strength to continue to be visibly Muslim on the court, around campus. I probably didn't do it right the whole time, but Allah knows best, right? So my college journey as a basketball player was not ideal. Just for your own knowledge, college sport is a business, right? And what these people do is they go to, and I'm gonna be completely frank, they go to inner city neighborhoods, they find the best black athlete they can find, sell them a dream, meaning we're sponsored by Nike, Adidas, we have multi-million-dollar locker rooms, you're gonna be playing in front of thousands of fans, you're gonna be loved, you're gonna be supported. Then you get there and it's a slap in the face. So you're selling somebody who didn't come from anything, and when they get there, you work for that money. So a lot of regular students that weren't athletes would always think that the athletes were amazing, you guys have special treatment. It was like, no, we're working for this money. Don't you worry. And subhanAllah, it was a test for me in college. And raise your hand if you're in college right now. Okay, just a few, so everybody else is in high school. I'll talk about colleges. Okay, there they go. It's a new world in college, all right? And one of the battles that I battled with was staying true to who I was and not crossing lines and boundaries, but I'm gonna get to that a little later. So I go through college. I actually transferred from the University of Memphis, where I accepted a Division I scholarship because my coach was an interesting woman, to say the least. And I went and played my senior season at Indiana State University. My senior season, alhamdulillah, was amazing. I was able to kind of play well, have a good player resume. That means that when you potentially go play professionally, you have everything on one piece of paper and it looks good. It's like getting a job. So I'm like, man, I think I'm good enough to play pro. I'm gonna put myself out there. So I get an agent after my senior season, and an agent is a person that helps you get a contract in overseas. So basically FIBA. Does anybody know what FIBA is? Okay, some hands. Anybody know what FIFA is? Okay, FIFA's soccer, right? Football, whatever you want to call it. FIBA is the basketball version of FIFA, meaning it's basically the NBA/WNBA in every country but America and Canada. So when you play in any other country outside those two, you're playing under FIBA. And it's a huge organization, tons of money. It's everywhere, literally. So my goal was to play in a beautiful country, make tons of money, just be good at basketball and get paid. Like, why not, right? All I have to do is make a couple threes, play some good defense. This is what I dreamed of. So my agent, who was gonna speak on my behalf when it came to me signing a contract, lets me know, oh, Bilquis, I came across a rule that talks about headbands or headgear in games. And it says that you can't wear anything larger than an athletic headband. And I'm like, okay, well, tell them that I'm Muslim. I've been wearing it. I wore it in NCAA. It shouldn't be a big deal. Sometimes they make you carry a piece of paper around stating that you're Muslim. It still doesn't make any sense to me. To let people know, the refs know that what I'm wearing is for religious purposes, clearly. And so I'm like, let's just let them know. So we emailed FIBA, letting them know that a Muslim is getting ready to join the league. Not only is she just a Muslim, she's a Muslim woman who wears hijab. Just let's be prepared. FIBA responds and says, well, we want to keep the game religiously neutral. And I'm like, what? Okay, so I made a point for people with tattoos of biblical scriptures or crosses or Prophet Isa tattooed on their bodies. Like, athletes tell stories on their body, right? Or they wear chains with crosses or Prophet Isa on their necklace. Whatever the case may be, That's religious freedom. So if that's the case, the people with these big, bold tattoos should have to wear a sleeve in the game, something to cover it up. So FIBA knows with that response, we had a point. So guess what they say? Well, actually, with her scarf, she could hurt herself or somebody else. What? That I could cause injury to others. This, the softest piece of material ever. And at the time, the way I wore it, there were no pins, there were no obstructive objects in it. I'm like, what do they think it's gonna do? And I'm like, what do they think, it's magic? It's gonna come off, trip some people up, block a few shots, snap my finger and it comes back. I'm like, what? There's no way, I never hurt myself or anyone else. If anything, I have been whipped in the face by long ponytails, braids, I had watery eye, the referee would have to call timeout, are you okay? It just makes sense for your hair to be wrapped up some way, somehow, in basketball, soccer, whatever the sport is, when you're playing against other people. And so, when they responded with that, that's when we knew it was underlying discrimination. That they feared what they don't know. And when you're in these countries, outside of the Muslim countries that have basketball, they don't really know about Islam. They really do think everything is terrorism when it comes to Islam. And it was unfortunate. So at that point in my career, I had 3 months to try to get past this rule. And in those 3 months, I had to train to keep up shape, be ready just in case I get a contract and the rule was removed. But I also had to speak to somebody else at FIBA or somebody that knew people at FIBA to get past this little barrier. Month 1 goes by. Now it's June. And I'm like, all right, I have July and some August, I'm good. I'm still gonna be able to play. July comes. FIBA stops responding. August is here. Now by August, as a rookie, I should have signed a contract and I should know what country I'm going to play in. August was there, nothing. Graduate school starts in September. So now my parents are looking at me and saying, are you really gonna wait till the last minute? Or are you gonna go start school? And so now I'm completely torn. I don't wanna go back to school, I wanna play basketball, right? Like, I can make money, I can start my career. I wanted to give it a chance. Alhamdulillah, I chose school, but I was still thinking, maybe September, October, we can find some stuff out and I can just go play, I'll put school on pause. Nothing happened. And so at that point, I'm in graduate school, I'm unhappy, and I'm questioning everything. And when I say everything, Islam was number 1. I'm like, why would Allah do this to me? Why would He take away something that I love so much? And the contradiction was hijab, right? I wore hijab my entire career. I became this Muslim woman in sport. I was this household name. I was feeling myself. You know, people knew me on Facebook. This was Facebook, and Facebook was kind of the place to be. I was getting posted on Instagram. When Instagram started, like I had a little, you know, I was a little famous. I liked it. Allah took it away. And so who am I really to question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Who are we to question His plan and what He has written for us? But at the age of 22, I wasn't thinking about that. I was broken. I was in a dark space. Wallahi, I was actually Googling other faiths to see what could fit my situation. I have family members that are Christian. I have family members that are Jewish. I have both sides. And I'm like, something has to make sense for me because Islam isn't it right now. I would get advice from people, especially people who weren't Muslim. They'll be like, it sucks what they're doing, but how about this? Can you take the scarf off for the game, then put it back on after the game? And so, of course, my immediate response to this piece of advice was, no, the hijab means more than that. It's not just a piece of material. You can't just take it off and put it back on. It's not a game. But I promise you, those words stuck with me. So when I would go home at night, I was thinking like, I would be in a different country where nobody would know me. The game is just 40 minutes. At that time, there was no such thing as live streaming, so I could hide from my parents, maybe not send them pictures, not tell them when the games are. I was thinking about taking my hijab off. Of course, that was Shaitan doing what? Whispering, making me feel good about something wrong. But subhanAllah, what I realized throughout that year of me in that dark space, there was no human being that could give me the right answer. There was no human. I was talking to my close friend, only one. I never really shared with my family what I was feeling about taking my hijab off or questioning Islam. So all I knew in that moment was to pray. And regardless of me questioning Islam or looking up other religions, I knew how to pray as a Muslim, right? So I remember this day like it was yesterday, and this is something that actually changed my life. So it was a night prayer. I don't know if it was Maghrib or Isha. But I go into my room. I'm in graduate school at the time, just to remind you. And I'm broken at this point because I'm torn. Do I take my hijab off and play? Or do I stand up for something that I'm questioning? I was Muslim, and I knew I was Muslim. I love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I believe in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I was still wearing hijab at the time, but something in my heart was uneasy. So I go to make this prayer. And I swear by Allah, this was the first time that I prayed with real intention. And it wasn't one of those prayers that we just, Allahu Akbar. We just get it done because we know that we have to pray. I actually went into this prayer needing Allah, needing to be guided in some way, somehow, some fashion. And so I go into sujood. Why is sujood important? It's when you're closest to Allah, right? That's when the real beauty kicks in our prayer. That's when we should ask Him for anything, thank Him for what we have. We should stay there and make all the dua we can. So as I'm in this position, wallahi, you guys, I felt like I couldn't get up. I felt stuck to the ground. Then I start weeping. For the first time, I'm Muslim my entire life. I have never cried in my salah before. And I'm like, what is happening to me? And at that point, the feeling of being stuck, I pleaded to Allah. Allah, I need help. Guide me, because I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know what I'm going through. I'm questioning you. I don't know if I want to be Muslim. My family doesn't know what I'm feeling, thinking. I'm ready to take my hijab off for a check, for money. This is where I was at. Allah, I would pay any amount of money. I say this every time I speak, because it's true. I would pay any amount of money to feel what I felt in my heart that night in sujood. Because that's when I became Muslim. Because that's when I accepted Islam as my true religion and faith. Because that's when I accepted Allah as the one that I trust. And soon after that prayer, wallahi, things started to happen in my life that I just couldn't even question. 2 weeks after that prayer, all of a sudden I get called to do my first speaking engagement. It was a Sunday school, and I'm like, why do people want to listen to me? I am in pieces. I don't know what I'm going through. But I take the engagement. I'm standing up in front of these Sunday school students, and all the little kids, the girls especially, they're in crisscross applesauce, and they're like, she's a superstar. And I'm like, in the inside, I'm just wanting to cry because this little girl sees me as somebody that I'm not. So I'm up on stage, and I'm saying all these cliche quotes, and be strong in your faith, don't let anyone tell you different. And I went home, and I was like, this isn't right. I have to change something. Then I get called to do another speech, and I'm like, okay, Allah, I understand. All right, I'm gonna get it together. After that, one thing that really, really changed for me, and this is gonna, I'm sorry, brothers, you can't connect with me on this, but I struggled with hijab for a very long time. Modesty for a very long time. I wanted to wear tight jeans. I wanted to wear the small shirts. So in college, I kind of blended in with my teammates when we, were together on campus. I wore my hijab in the turban style, and in my household, we believe that the neck should be covered. So according to my family's beliefs, the way I wear hijab off the court wasn't, correct. And I wanted to fit in beauty-wise, right? I wanted to feel pretty. I wanted to look like my counterparts and get attention from the wrong people. And so there was one night in college, my graduate school, and I was still kind of going through this situation, but it was after this prayer. I'm going to a basketball game. My friends are rushing me. So I'm trying to tie my hijab up in the turban style, and it just wasn't going on right. They're like, come on, let's go, we're leaving. So what we all do when we run out to the mailbox, throw it around, right? So I get to the stadium, and everybody there still knows me because I went to school. I played basketball for that team the year prior. So it's the fans, it's some of the old players from the other teams, soccer team, whoever. I'm trying to get to the bathroom because my hijab is a wreck. Because nobody has ever seen me wearing it the way I was wearing it. And so every person that knew me that I passed by was like, Bill Keys, you look so pretty with your scarf that way. And I'm like, it's not even pin. I don't even know, like what? No way. Next person, wow, you should wear your scarf like that more often. And I'm like, okay, Allah, I get it now. I get it. I get to the bathroom. I pinned it under my chin, wrapped it around, and it made me feel good. And Allah was just giving me sign after sign. I'm like, I can't question this anymore. I know what I'm gonna do. Allah, you don't have to push me in these uncomfortable places anymore. I'm good. From that day forward, I wore my hijab proudly. My shirts got longer. My jeans got looser. I wasn't worried about what people thought about how I looked, how I dressed. SubhanAllah. And so from that day forward, I chose to fight FIBA's rule. It took me 4 years, myself and other Muslim women who joined the campaign, to get this rule removed. But alhamdulillah, in 2017, FIBA removed the rule, and now Muslim women can wear hijab, Jewish men can wear yarmulkes, and Sikh men who wear turbans can play without having to carry a paper, without having to prove that this is their faith. And alhamdulillah, we changed the game. But with all of that being said, I'm going to ask one question before I tie up. And I think I know the answer. But this is a big crowd. My husband is going to be upset with me. He's in the back, by the way. You guys will see him when you'll see him when he raises his hand. I'm going to ask this, though. Sorry, babe. Listen up. Who here converted or reverted to Islam? Raise your hand. Actually, stand up. Stand up. Sister. Now, no, stand up. Look, he's so shy, he's terrified right now. All right. Takbir. 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 You know why we're takbiring for them? Because they chose Islam after living a life that we think sometimes is better than the life we live. You guys can sit down. They actually live the dating life They live the party life if they chose that. I'm not assuming people who convert to Islam have this freedom to do this, right? They went through life, fumbled upon Islam and said, this is it for me. This is going to change my life. But we, the ones who are born into Islam, this beautiful religion that has been perfected in so many ways, you know what we say sometimes? Oh, everything's haram. Oh my gosh, my parents don't let me do this. Doesn't it look so cool? Oh, look at the outfit she's wearing. Oh, look at the car he's driving. Oh, they chose it. They fell in love with it. So what I'm saying to you is at this age, right, you're in high school, you're getting ready to actually make adult decisions really soon for yourselves. Some of you are probably arguing with your parents here and there. My mom is annoying. My father doesn't let me do anything. I can't wear what I want to wear. The brothers, you know, you guys are just, we'll get on you guys soon because I'm only relating to the sisters right now. But we're struggling. Right now we're losing the battle. Our young people are losing the battle to the TikToks, to the influencers, to the boys, to the girls, to the, oh, I wish I could have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. We're losing the battle. And this is the reality, because Allah's going to test us. But you're about to step in to a life where you're no longer in the circle and in the comfort of your own home or under your mother and father's shield. Because the college students can let you know. It's hard. And I still don't have it all figured out. So everything that I'm saying to you is a reminder to myself first. But what I'm telling you right now is that if you don't figure out who you are in these moments, who are you? What do you stand for? Who are you going to let into your circle? Are they good people? Who are your friends? Who's going to check you? Who prays with you at school? Because maybe some of you go to a Islamic school, maybe some of you don't. Who's the one when you are doing something a little, I like to use the word ratchet, a little messy? Who's checking you? Do you have a friend that's like, bro, you need to calm down? Do we have that? Sisters, do we have that? Or do we all engage in the same thing? Oh, it's okay, I'm like, yeah, let's text so-and-so. I like somebody, I can't control it, I'm gonna go hang out. Do we have somebody that's checking us? Do we have somebody that's checking our Instagrams? When we post something a little risque, or we're watching something, brothers, that may not be right, do you have somebody to say, no, come on, believe that? Or are we just, yeah, me too? Surround yourself with good people, because I didn't. Figure out who you are, because I thought I was going to be this famous basketball player, but I'm not right now. Figure out what you stand for. And last but not least, hold on to your salah. That's the bare minimum. Because once you stop praying, what do you consider? Kafir. A disbeliever. That's the worst of the worst. To not have that tie to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to not have that anchor when everything around you is a whirlwind, but you can then turn back to Allah at night 5 times a day and say, Allah help me. Because people aren't going to do it for you. Sometimes your parents aren't going to do it for you because you are your own person. I have this one last thing I want to say, and it's a post that I read just to put things into perspective. And it said, all 5 Fard prayers, plus the sunnah that go with a Fard prayer, if it has one, takes a certain amount of time. How long do you think it takes? Huh? 48 minutes. So this post was kind of to a T. I saw it on social media somewhere. 48 minutes. How many hours are in a day? 24. Allah literally is asking us to give Him 48 minutes out of our 24 hours, but you know what we do? And I'm guilty. The event goes off on my phone. Keep scrolling. 5 minutes to pray. I said, oh, let me go make wudu. Oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? When are we going to check ourselves? When are we going to choose Islam and choose Allah? And I think the theme is courage, fear, risk, right? Something like that this year. Who do we fear? Allah, right? And not fear as in, oh my gosh, I'm going to get punished if I don't do this. It's being accountable, holding yourselves accountable to know that Allah is always watching. We forget that. What are we willing to risk for Islam? Or are we just going to keep watering it down like the news does, the media does? And we're just going to lose our narrative to people who don't know anything about it because we're afraid to take the risk to be Muslim. Start a prayer group in your public high school. Pray together. Get a prayer buddy. And I just mentioned this, I just spoke at a MSA yesterday night. Get a prayer buddy. Who wakes up at 5 and texts their friend to get up? Raise your hand if you do, because I want to applaud you. Stand up. Because I want you to be honest. Stand up. Stand up, I saw you. MashaAllah. This is good. This is sisterhood. This is brotherhood. Mix is community. He mentioned it. Brother Adnan was your name, right? Community. We don't have that. You all, the young ones, have to build it. These platforms here, it's not about the trophies. It's about, did you get closer to Allah? Did you make a friend that is going to hold you accountable to be a good Muslim? So tonight, I want you all to check your Instagrams and your TikToks. Who are you following? Filter through, get rid of some people. Delete some photos that you're not proud of. And brothers, before I go, one thing that I beg of you is to protect them, to support them, to love them, to respect them,